Best strategies for doing a home inspection request from the buyers. All right, so you just made an offer on a house, they accepted it, you had the home inspection done, and guess what? The inspector found something wrong. It's inevitable. Even on new houses, you're going to find stuff that's wrong. But in this case, let's say it's a used house, and the inspector is going to find things wrong, maybe an outlet that's not grounded, a random electrical box up in the attic that is exposed, a furnace that needs some work, maybe you need an electrical panel upgraded. And so you as a buyer want a good, safe working home, and the sellers should hopefully be willing to work with you, especially in this market that we're in right now. So what's the best strategies to get that done? So let's say you found a bunch of things, but we're just going to use an electrical panel as an example. So maybe the electrical panel is in need of replacement, and it's a $2,500 replacement. Now, you as a buyer are not expected to know if the electrical panel is up to code, and B, not an electrical professional, and so you probably don't know how much an electrical panel costs. So when you're going through the house, you may not have even looked at the electrical panel. Sometimes they're behind a pretty picture in the laundry room or something like that, and so you didn't even know that this electrical panel needed to be replaced. We're not talking about negotiating the worn out carpet that you saw when you walk through the house. That should be negotiated in the front part of this deal when you put the purchase and sale agreement together. But now the electrical panel, the inspectors pointed out that this electrical panel is outdated, needs to be replaced for whatever reason. And just rough numbers like, I don't know, I'm not an electrician, so please don't quote me on $2,500. But you as a buyer might be panicking. Oh my gosh, a new electrical panel. How much does that cost? Is that $500? Is that $5,000? What do you do in order to put yourself in the best position? Well, you can go back to the seller and you can say, discount my purchase price by X, give me a credit of X, or have electrical panel installed. Now, caution. If you're going to ask for that electrical panel to be replaced, make sure you specify installed by a licensed, bonded professional, okay? If you really want to get specific, name the professional. I want ABC Electrical to have this installed. Now, because you don't know how much it is, and maybe it's something that you'd be willing to take care of anyways. Maybe this is your dream house, and you got it for a smoking hot price, and you don't want to upset the sellers. One really good tip here that we're going to give you is to have a electrical inspector or electrician come out and inspect it and give you a quote to replace it, okay? Now you've got a solid number to work with. Now you can go back using my rough number. I have no idea what your electrical panel is going to cost, but now you can go back to the sellers and say, hey, I want $2,500 off the purchase price. I want a credit for $2,500, or I want ABC Electrician to install a new panel prior to closing based off of estimate number 1, 2, 3. Now, here's the differences between the three asks. You take it off the purchase price. If you're cash, take it off the purchase price or credit, doesn't matter. It's money out of your pocket. If you're financing and you say, bump my purchase price down by $2,500, you're going to save 35 cents a month, right? Like, I don't know the actual numbers, maybe $1 per month. Okay, it's not even going to get you an extra cup of coffee at Starbucks, for crying out loud. So that means you're not going to have the money, or maybe you already have the money, but you won't have additional money from closing in your pocket. Now, if you ask for a credit, which means the seller credits you at closing, so maybe they're paying $2,500 of your closing costs, which means if you had to bring $10,000 closing costs to the title company to close the deal, now you only have to bring $7,500. You've got $2,500 in your pocket, so you can call up ABC Electrical and have that done. Now, here's what you may run into. If you're FHA, if you're VA, you may need that electrical panel replaced prior to the appraisal. All right, so it's great. My Uncle Bob is an electrician, and if we get $2,500 credit, he'll install it for $1,800 and made a few bucks. Well, you may not be able to get through the appraisal process, and so that's why sometimes you need to have that installed prior to closing. And not to mention, with the first two options, that you move into a new house, you're all excited, and day one, you've got an outdated panel. So when it comes to safety items, sometimes that is a great thing to have the sellers replace or fix prior to moving into. So at the end of the day, your real estate professional should be helping you through this process. Hopefully these tips are helpful to you guys. There's lots of different ways to go about this. But number one, I definitely suggest you have it inspected by a professional so that you know what you're working with. I had an instance several years ago. Inspector came back and said that the piers in the crawl space, so essentially the support structure for the house, were not up to snuff and they needed to be replaced. And my buyers panicked. They're like, "Hey, this is going to be like $50,000. We need a credit of that." And I went, whoa. We're getting a good deal on this house. Let's have someone come out and take a look at it. Lo and behold, people came out. They took a look at it. They gave us a quote for $20,000. Now, if we had gone back to the sellers and said, "Hey, we want $50,000 off the purchase price or $50,000 credit or something," first off, we may not even been able to get that much credit. That's another thing you need to know about your financing, is how much credit can we actually get. There's loan limits and things like that. But if we would have just gone back with a pull it out of thin air number like $50,000, and then the sellers said, "Well, hey, let's get an ABC foundation repair and see how much this costs," and then they find $20,000, they might be so upset at you that they don't want to move forward, and they say, "We ain't doing nothing." Okay, so it really, really, really helps, especially when it's safety concerns. Maybe you've got a broken heat exchanger in your furnace that's starting to leak carbon monoxide into the house or something like that. When you have a licensed professional write up that invoice, write up that repair, that takes all the weight off of you as the buyer. The next buyer is probably going to ask for the same thing. They're going to find the same thing, right? They might find more. And right now you've got a deal under contract. These sellers they visually have moved out. Maybe they've even started spending money, that they are envisioning in their heads. And so have some proof. Have a licensed professional come by, supply the invoice, take all the heat off of you. If you guys want more tips and tricks, smash the like button, hit subscribe so that you get notified every time that I put out new content. I'm attempting to bring you guys more tips, strategy, and real estate content. In the meantime, have a great day.